Good morning, dear students. We are studying the business studies, and we have already studied about the history of trade and commerce. And in the first part of that, we have already studied about the indigenous banking system. Next topic that we have to study is about the rise of intermediaries. Okay. So we know, like if there is a trade, if any kind of business activity is to be taken place, there is always there are some intermediaries are there are some brokers are there. Okay, so middlemen are there. Okay, so like if like business nowadays we are dealing with a business. So the company is producing a product, but we are not directly purchasing the product from the company. We get it from the retail shop in our area. But there is a huge process is taking place between the goods has to be transported from the place of production to the place of consumption. That means this product may be produced maybe in any foreign country, or maybe in another state, or even in our own state, but in another part of the state. And it has to be transported, it has to be brought by different activities has to be performed on the way. Then only this product will be available in the retail shop in our market. And when it is available, then only we will be able to purchase. Otherwise, we cannot go and purchase. And for the producers also, it is a very big problem. So there are kind of intermediaries required. So the requirement, so these intermediaries started appearing. So how these intermediaries start coming into the business, that is what we are going to study. Intermediaries played a prominent role in the promotion of trade. They provided considerable financial security to the manufacturers by assuming responsibility for the risk involved, especially in foreign trade. So there are some intermediaries, and they started giving some kind of like a security. So see, like if we are dealing with a product, and if we have to sell this product to another country, so if we are international product, international trade, if we are doing export, import and all, if we want to do. So it is not having connection with the foreign country and directly sending it to another country is a very risky procedure. Okay, we cannot go to a foreign country with the product and after that go there and sell it. It's not, these kinds of things are not possible. So at that time there is a need of intermediaries. So these intermediaries, so these brokers are there. They help us, especially to people those who are doing the business. So they have a connection there and they have connection here. So they collect the product from here and they sell it to the another country there, and they bring product from there to here. So such kind of activities there. So they take up the responsibility of the risk. So when we produce this product and sell it in another country, when we sell it to the another country, there is no any guarantee that the people will be demanding or people will be purchasing the product. Okay, or during the transportation there may be any kind of loss will be there. So there are so many risks that we have to face. So these intermediaries will be helping in order to reduce this risk, because they are taking some of the responsibility. It comprised commission agents, brokers and distributors, both for wholesale and retail goods. So there are different types of intermediaries are there. So they are known as like commission agents. So there are some commission agents are there. So like if you are selling a product, what we do is that, see, like imagine if you produce a product and we are giving this product to a commission agent. So we will for selling this product, if imagine that if a product is of 100 rupees value, okay, MRP value is of 100 rupees and we are producing it in 80 rupees and handing over this product to the commission agent. So he will take a commission, maybe like 10 rupees or 20 rupees commission he will take, and he will sell the product. So that they are called as the commission agents. Then there are some brokers are there. So if you like a land deals and all are there, or any kind of activities are there, in that there are some brokers. So they connect between the buyer and seller. Okay, but for that we have to give some money to them. So commission has to be paid to the brokers. Or there are also distributors. So distributors are the people those who purchase the product from the producers in a bulk quantity and distribute to the retailers in different areas. So they have their own transportation system and distribution facility, warehousing facility, all these things are there. So they will distribute the product. Okay. So these people are considered as the intermediaries. So, and they are also available, they are helping in the wholesale trade as well as in the retail goods. An expanding trade brought in huge amounts of silver bullion into Asia, and a large share of that bullion gravitated towards India. So see, like the trade has been increased, and large amount of bullion means that a kind like coins, the silver or gold before making it into coins. So like a gold or a silver in the pure format. So such kind of thing is called as a bullion. So while trading, they get a lot amount of this silver, and it has been brought into our country, India. The institution of Jagat Seth also developed and exercised great influence during the Mughal period and the days of East India Company. Bankers began to act as trustees and executioners of endowments. Foreign trade was financed by loans. However, the rate of interest for longer voyages was kept high in view of the huge risk involved. So the institution of Jagat Seth also developed and exercised great influence during the Mughal period and the days of East India Company. So they had like a Jagat Seths. So they are like a bankers are there. So they sell they like land dealings and all are there, or if any kind of banking process is there, then they help in that activity. So they started coming up, and these people were very much available in the time of British East India Company and so on, or in the Mughal period. So they were very much present in that. And bankers began to act as trustees and executioners of endowments. So then see, like bankers, earlier we have studied that there are so-called indigenous banking system was there, and very local areas only the banking, but they started growing and they started becoming as more powerful. So they become more powerful, and they began to act as like trustees or executioners of endowments. So any kind of, like if you are having some big like if any products and all are there, so or land is there, or gold or things are there, so you can keep and get the money. So big processor or big investments can be made with the help of the bankers. Foreign trade was financed by loans. However, the trade rate of interest for longer voyages was kept high in view of the huge risk involved. So the foreign trade, for doing the foreign trade, the loan facility was there. So means like if we are fully investing the money is not possible, so they with the help of loan they were able to do the foreign trade. And for longer voyages, like if we are selling the product to a very far away country, so then risk is very much high. So then high level of charges was asked. Okay, interest for the transportation was very much high. The emergence of credit transactions and availability of loans and advances enhanced the commercial operations. So when we see like if normal transactions are there, then see like only cash transactions are available. People can the person can do a business only up to the level of money that he is having in his hand. But when they are able to get a credit facility, then it will become more flexible for them. So they will get a more credit facility. So then they will be able to do more transactions. So because of this credit transactions and availability of loans, another thing is that like if we are reminded that if we are selling a product and if we make a credit sale, so that product has to one who has purchased this product has to pay us money back. Then only we will be able to purchase another product and bring it. So we need a lot amount of money. And if we are getting loans, then we can make use of the loan in the time of requirement of money. So these two things started helping the commercial activities. The Indian subcontinent enjoyed the fruits of a favorable balance of trade, where exports exceeded imports with large margins, and the indigenous banking system benefited the manufacturers, traders and merchants with the additional capital funds for expansion and development. So in India we have the facility of foreign trade. So then there was like a balance of trade was there. So means like balance of trade means that like when we are doing export and import, the balance between the export and import is considered as the balance of trade. So when we start getting, see, like we are exporting more products and importing only less product, so then we get a huge amount of balance of trade. So that also was another benefit for our country. And the indigenous banking system has been developed more, and they started giving money to the manufacturers, traders and merchants with additional capital funds for expansion and development. So for the purpose of expansion and development, they were ready to, or they were able to give more money or more fund for the developers or merchants. Commercial and industrial banks later evolved to finance trade and commerce and agricultural banks to provide trade and commerce and agricultural bank to provide both short and long term loans to finance agriculturalists. So there is a credit facility. So earlier only indigenous banking system was there. Then after that another type of like banking system also started coming up. Commercial and industrial banks started coming up. There are commercial and industrial banks. So these type of banks are there. They will be helping the industries to provide, or commercial activities are there. So they will be helping in providing a large amount of funds or loans. So that will help in the increase in the trade and commerce activities. And also there are agricultural banks for helping the activities of like a short term and long term loans to finance agriculturalists. So those who are doing agricultural activities, in order to help them, there was a agricultural bank. So they were able to supply with a good amount of money or loan to the people, those who are doing agricultural activities. Okay, so these are the things that we have to study. The remaining portion we study in the next class. Okay, thank you so much.